wanted to wish the LGBTQ plus community a happy Pride Month. Enjoy, but don't forget to thank a straight person for your existence.
And you can thank queer people for computers, thanks to early work by Alan Turing and later work by trans computer scientist Lynn Conway. You can also thank us for winning World War II, thanks to Alan Turing's other work as a pivotal codebreaker for the Allied powers. You can also thank queer people for gas heating systems, thanks to Alice Parker, GPS technology, thanks to Gladys West, knowing how to heal your broken bones, thanks to Alan Hart, vibrators, thanks to George Taylor, synthesizers, thanks to Robert Moog, American independence, thanks to Deborah Sampson, modern agricultural techniques such as crop rotation, thanks to George Washington Carver, and so much of today's most iconic and well-respected art, thanks to James Baldwin, Oscar Wilde, allegedly Shakespeare, Keith Haring, Freddie Mercury. The list goes on and on and on. But most importantly, you can thank queer people for the invention of gay pop.
Good news, everyone! Tonight, parents, helplines, and ninjas. Oh my! Good news starts right now. First tonight, attorneys pledge to fight for trans youth. From LGBTQ Nation. 9 Democratic attorneys general have released a video pledging to transgender students. We will never stop fighting for you, despite the president's attacks on trans-inclusive school anti-discrimination policies. The video, coordinated by the Legal Network for Gender Equity, encourages students to file complaints if they feel their educational rights have been violated. The attorneys general say that state human rights offices and education departments can still investigate concerns about hostile learning environments, despite the presidential administration's attempts to roll back legal trans protections for trans students. Quote, Donald Trump has been going after the rights of trans students, their families, and anyone who supports them, said Delaware Attorney General Kathy Jennings in the video. When it comes to keeping trans youth safe, we will do whatever it takes. Quote, we don't tolerate hate, and we do fight back, Maryland Attorney General Anthony Brown said. We led a coalition of attorneys general in supporting a group of courageous trans children fighting for their access to life-saving medical care. Quote, and we're going to stand with everybody. We believe in liberty and justice for all. All means transgender students too, Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison said. In the video, Vermont Attorney General Charity Clark said that her office has been analyzing all of the president's anti-trans executive orders and actions, adding, quote, we won't look away if students are facing hostile learning environments, and we will hold schools accountable under our state laws. Donna Nessel, Michigan's lesbian attorney general, adds, quote, when the Trump administration weaponized the Department of Justice to interfere with families' private medical decisions, we took them to court. Quote, there is broad support throughout the nation to resist the administration's attacks on trans students, said Fatima Goss-Graves, National Women's Law Center president and chief executive officer. Quote, these young people, our children, continue to be bullied by the administration and other extremists in ways that threaten their education and even their existence. Even as Donald Trump has rolled back civil rights enforcement, many states are stepping up to hold schools accountable and ensure every child can learn in an environment free from discrimination. Students need to know there are people who have their back and will never stop fighting for their right to learn in safety and dignity. The full video also includes California Attorney General Rob Bonta, Massachusetts Attorney General Andrea Campbell, and Oregon Attorney General Dan Rayfield. Title IX is the federal law that bans discrimination on the basis of sex in education. The law has been used by both pro and anti-LGBTQ+ rights advocates to argue for and against equal rights. On the left, progressives argue that discrimination against GSM people is inherently a form of discrimination on the basis of sex, since it is impossible to discriminate against someone's sexual orientation or gender status without taking their sex assigned at birth into account. This is a view that has been upheld by the United States Supreme Court in saner times. On the right, conservatives argue that the general idea behind Title IX is protecting girls and women from discrimination in education that rights for everyone else somehow takes away from, especially when it comes to transgender girls' participation in school sports. The current administration has argued that Title IX prohibits trans people from participating in sports, using restrooms, having educations, and government offices. These policies effectively deny trans students an equal education when it comes to specific school programs and facilities segregated based on sex. Given the current state of affairs, it's nice to see at least some governmental representatives doing what they can to try and protect, you know, the people. Near Albany, a group of parents come together to support their trans kids. From the Times-Union. Not only are transgender people subject to President Donald Trump's executive orders that ban us from military service, sports teams, and access to health care, but we are also subject to conspiracy theories that allege we are mentally ill, prone to commit violent acts, and are an abomination generally. Just last February, 2 black transgender people were murdered, one in Michigan and one in New York's Finger Lakes region. As rhetoric around transgender people grows more heated, so too does anxiety among parents of transgender children. One mother told the Times-Union last week that her daughter is, quote, being demonized. There is a feeling that the government is trying to erase our children from the face of the earth, said the mother, who asked to remain anonymous for fear that her daughter would be harmed if she were identified. Quote, they are people. I would say our children are not safe. Families of transgender kids are dealing with resistance and misunderstanding. She and about 18 other parents have found some solace, however, in the monthly gathering of Parenting with Pride. The support group for parents of transgender children, which formed in April, meets to discuss issues affecting them and their children, who range in age from preschoolers to adults. And the meetings provide, this mother said, a safe place to talk and share information on how to ease their worries and support their children, emotionally, medically, and legally. Run by 3 facilitators, the group meets in Saratoga Springs. The Times-Union is not disclosing that location because, as licensed clinical social worker Lynn Davidson put it, quote, there are concerns about safety. Once inside, Davidson said that parents whose children are working through their process can freely talk. Quote, what people say is, being in this room feels like medicine, Davidson said. For some of these people, this is their first opportunity to connect with others with similar experiences. They all come with a desire to have their children be safe and live authentically. Caroline Russell Smith, another of the group's facilitators who is also a licensed social worker, said that they modeled their group after one run by the Pride Center of the Capital Region in Albany. She said it starts with participants introducing themselves, talking about where their child is on the gender journey, and, quote, then it sort of unfolds on its own, Smith said. Quote, everyone in there is quietly searching for something, Smith said. I think they're looking to be less alone on the rigorous journey. Some people don't have support of their spouse, extended family, or friends. They are seeking support of a community to sit in the same room with people on the same journey. Both Davidson and Smith call it a journey because it is a process. Both facilitators, as well as the two parents who spoke to the Times Union, said it begins with the child feeling there is something different about them. They said some children may go through a period of identifying with one term, such as non-binary, neither is a girl or a boy, before they settle into their true gender identity, or how they perceive themselves and how they present to the world. Some children, however, do identify as non-binary, gender non-conforming, or transgender, and settle into their gender identity without needing to explore further. The medical community recognizes gender as being different from sex, the latter of which is based on genetics and physical characteristics, such as reproductive organs, it should be noted, along with a whole lot of other things. Quote, "The concept of gender is not fixed," Davidson explained. "It does not always fit in a defined identity. It's not gay or straight or black or white. It's a continuum, and it can change over time." Smith said parents struggle, even years on, because they feel that they aren't being good or supportive as parents as their children embark on what, for their children, can feel is a great relief and a time of excitement. Quote, "Some parents feel they are not about to show up full-heartedly in this moment," Smith said. "It's important to listen to parents and help them realize that the feeling is quite normal, and there is a period of adjustment." Another mother in the group, who spoke with the Times Union anonymously, said when her 20-year-old came out, it was a shock. She said she had no idea. Quote, "I'm far enough along that I don't cry anymore when I talk about it," she said. "My initial reaction was I was scared for her. I was horrified. I knew how hard it was going to make her life. I also have very little understanding of gender dysphoria, but there was never a thought of being repelled by her or not loving her." Her daughter was in college at the time. She was expelled from her fraternity and lost friends. Even family members tacitly turned their backs on her. Her daughter went through bouts of depression, anxiety, and SI. Quote, "She lost so many friends," the mother said. "It's heartbreaking." To help her daughter along, she put away all photos and videos of her child, saying goodbye to who she thought had been a happy little boy. But in the end, it is worth it because her daughter, quote, "is happy, and that's all that counts." Tora Stringfield, the Pride Center of the Capital Region's Program and Operations Coordinator, who runs a support group for transgender teens, says it's important for parents to be understanding because many of the teens she works with are traumatized. They're being misgendered, called by their dead name, meaning the name on their birth certificates, and bullied at school. Or worse. Quote, "Many of the youth are experiencing some mental health issues," Stringfield says. "If they come to the group, we can recommend a case manager. It's more therapeutic on our end." She said she has seen extremely supportive parents, but some parents don't know about their child's transgender identity. Her group does not allow parents in because, quote, "Not everyone is accepting and it can make the situation worse. The main thing is we don't want to traumatize them any more than they already are," she said. "The whole thing is complicated," said one of the mothers. "Aside from just supporting each other and their children emotionally, they support each other with the technical issues, such as sharing information about helpful lawyers who can guide a name change, which parents say is the easiest thing to do. Harder is a gender change on a birth certificate, driver's license, or with the Social Security Administration. Most difficult is changing a passport. That's because Executive Order 14168 prohibits gender self-identification on federal documents." Parents also recommend doctors or clinics where their child can find help with hormone blockers or surgeries, which one of the mothers said is, quote, "so painful, no one would do this if they were not serious about it." Gender-affirming surgery is rarely performed on those under the age of 18, according to a 2023 study by researchers at Johns Hopkins University. The exceptions typically include those for whom surgery has been deemed clinically necessary after extensive evaluations, according to the Human Rights Campaign, a nonprofit that advocates for LGBTQ+ rights. Also painful is the societal label that their children are mentally ill. Both Davidson and Smith said it's important to understand that being transgender, quote, is not a sign of mental illness. It's not a disorder, or not something that needs to be resolved or fixed. Davidson also said that although there has been a lot of progress in this area in the past year, quote, rights and privileges and protections have been lost. Thus, there's a need for a support group where, Davidson said, quote, there is great comfort to have a safe space to come together and share their experiences. Ultimately, one mother said the group is all striving for one thing: acceptance for their children. A new hotline offers hope and help for trans youth and their families. From the Detroit Free Press. Parents of transgender and non-binary children are staffing a newly revamped hotline aimed at answering questions from other trans and non-binary youth and their family members. A project of Stand With Trans, a support and empowerment organization for transgender young people that is headquartered in Metro Detroit, the service is not a crisis line. Rather, it's a place to learn about resources, such as where to find clothing or medical treatment, and talk to an ally parent either by phone or text, and maybe get a virtual hug at a time when the rights of transgender people, especially transgender young people, are targets of the United States government. About 30 parents nationwide answer calls and texts, including the Detroit area mother of a non-binary teenager. Quote, a lot of parents are kind of just needing a listening ear to acknowledge what they're going through is a lot, and let them kind of vent their feelings about all of it, she said, asking that her name not be used because she's afraid her family may be targeted. Quote, most of the time, parents are looking for resources, of which Stand With Trans has plenty, including support groups. Quote, a lot of times, the kids who reach out because they're not getting support at home, the mom said. That is both sad and rewarding because I want to be that person for someone, but I also wish their parents could be that someone for them. The hotline is open from 9 a.m. to midnight daily. To call 833-435-7798. If there is no parent available, callers may have to leave a message. From the time of its soft launch at the end of June through August 1st, the hotline received 5 completed calls, 12 texts, and a handful of hang-ups after the calls were answered, said Tess Sokolis, one of the coordinators of the Ally Parent Hotline. She said the volume of text messages the hotline receives has increased since the University of Michigan's medical system, under pressure from the administration of President Donald Trump, stopped providing gender-affirming care for people under 19 years of age. The fact that there are resources like Stand With Trans to help those orphaned patients find the medical care they need because of political nonsense is a lighthouse in the storm of bigotry coming from the federal government. Trans ninja warrior Clayton Reeves speaks out about finding strength in sports. From the 19th News. With transgender athletes facing escalating political attacks and sports bans spreading across the country, one competitor on NBC's American Ninja Warrior is proving that visibility itself can be an act of defiance. Clayton J. Reeves, a 25-year-old from Iowa, confirmed he has received a callback for next year's 18th season less than a year after filming what he describes as a historic moment, becoming one of the first out transgender men to advance to the semifinals of the 17th season on the long-running NBC competition series. Quote, "I'm thrilled to have another opportunity to compete and continue using this platform to represent and inspire others," Reeves told The Advocate. Reeves's path to national television was far from straightforward. Born in Romania and adopted into a large Midwestern family, he remembers growing up with instability at home. His mother battled alcoholism, while his father, a police officer, communicated primarily through anger. Quote, "I already felt out of the picture," he recalled. "I wasn't part of the family, and maybe it was because of the way they treated their biological kids compared to me." Coming out as transgender in high school brought more strain. At first, his father appeared supportive. Quote, "You're my kid and I love you," Reeves remembered him saying. But soon, the rejection returned. Quote, "He told me, 'You're embarrassing me. You're not trans. Shut up.'" By 18, he left home with little more than the car he had purchased from his father. Quote, "I lived in and out of that car, couch to couch," he said. "I dropped out of high school with nothing but the shirt on my back." What gave him stability, Reeves explained, was a camera. In 2018, he began filming his transition for YouTube, using the platform to process his experiences and connect with others. Quote, "I didn't have many friends, mostly queer friends, so I talked like I was talking to one person," he said. "Then I started getting comments. I started getting fans and viewers. They helped me when I needed them, and now it's my turn to help them." That audience has grown to more than 50,000 across YouTube and TikTok. Quote, "I didn't have a role model when I was younger," Reeves said. "Now I want to be that person. I want kids to know they're not alone." After a breakup, Reeves sought out gymnastics, but instead found a gym in Grimes, Iowa, offering adult ninja training. Within a year, his coach pushed him to audition for American Ninja Warrior. Quote, "I didn't even want to sign up," Reeves admitted. "My coach told me, 'You've got a great story and a great personality. You can advocate for your community.' I said, 'Okay, bet. Let's do it.'" He ran the course for the first time on September 27th, 2024. His episode aired June 30th, and he advanced to the semifinals. Quote, "Just because I only made it to the semifinals doesn't mean I lost," he reflected. "That means I won because I showed up. I showed up for my community." For Reeves, the ninja community has been both a proving ground and a mirror. Out publicly on social media before he ever competed, he knew other athletes would inevitably learn about his transition long before he felt comfortable sharing it. Quote, "Everyone Googles each other," he explained. "You start at a new job or a new gym, you look people up. That's how people found out about me." The reception wasn't always smooth. Training in conservative Iowa, Reeves said he encountered outright hostility from a fellow athlete who had also competed on Ninja Warrior. After Reeves advanced to the semifinals and his teammate did not, the teammate reportedly told others that Reeves only made it on the show because he was trans, Reeves said. He added that the same person even suggested their shared coach wanted nothing to do with him because of his identity. Quote, "It got ugly," Reeves recalled. For a time, he considered walking away from the sport altogether, convinced he had achieved his goal of competing on national television and advocating for his community, but unwilling to keep training where he felt unwelcome. What happened next, though, surprised him. Friends at the gym intervened, confronting the coach directly. When Reeves and the coach finally sat down together, it turned out none of the disparaging comments had ever come from him. The rift was manufactured by jealousy, not rejection, he said. That moment, Reeves said, reminded him that for every hater, there are allies ready to step in. Quote, there has been hatred, he acknowledged, but sometimes that hatred has turned into friendship. Other times, it pushed me closer to people who did want me there. Now training for season 18, Reeves sees his return as more than another chance at competition. He describes his gym as a playground. Quote, it feels like we're kids on the monkey bars again, he said. They treat me like everyone else. That's what I love. Reeves is clear that his visibility comes at a time when transgender athletes are under heightened scrutiny. With President Donald Trump back in office and trans sports participation increasingly targeted, he worried his segment might never air. Quote, Ninja Warrior is a very Christian conservative sport, he explained. I thought, what if they cut me out because I'm trans? But instead, they put me front and center. That meant everything. The backlash was swift. Quote, most of the time they think I'm a trans woman, and they're like, you're cheating, Reeves said. Ninja Warrior is a genderless sport. I beat cisgender men to make it to the semifinals. It's about discipline, not gender. He also pushed back on the broader debate over trans participation in athletics. Quote, if I were banned from competing, or if they put me in the women's category, it wouldn't change a thing, he argued. My best friend in Ninja is a woman, and she can beat me with her eyes closed. It's not about gender. It's about who trains harder, who dedicates the time, and who puts their A game on. That debate is playing out nationwide. According to the Movement Advance Project, 27 states currently have laws banning transgender students from playing on sports teams consistent with their gender identity, with 2 more states enforcing bans through agency policies. Some of those bans are being challenged in court, but they remain on the books in most places. The Trump administration has dictated that transgender women cannot participate in college sports or the U.S. Olympic Games in 2028. The U.S. Supreme Court will decide next term whether states can ban transgender people from participating in sports overall. Reeves sees hypocrisy in how critics selectively target athletes. Quote, people say they never see trans men winning, but they don't look for us. And when they come for trans women, it's usually those just starting their journey. They don't come for the women who fully transitioned, because they can't even spot them. They go for the ones it's easiest to attack. You know, like children. The double standard isn't lost on him. Quote, when I wasn't out, people said, you look like a guy. Then I transitioned, and they say, you're a girl. You can't make anyone happy. They are always going to be haters. Reeves also points to misogyny as the reason trans women bear the brunt of political attacks while trans men are often overlooked. Quote, what I think it is men controlling women, he said. The whole world is just full of misogyny and men being up here, women being down there. That's why trans men don't get attacked compared to trans women, or trans men who might not fully fit the binary. He believes laws like so-called bathroom bills expose that control. Quote, I won't get stopped going into the men's room, but a woman who looks masculine might. There was literally an article about a lesbian woman being stopped outside a restroom because she didn't look feminine enough. Now they're trying to tell women how to look. In February, The Advocate reported on a black lesbian who describes herself as a stud, who documented a confrontation with police officers after somebody thought she was a man. For Reeves, that logic is both dangerous and absurd. Quote, they'll say trans women need to use the men's rooms, and trans men, well, maybe a porta potty or the family restroom. It's like our lives are just a debate, he said. But if you even look at stats of who's more violent, it's cis men. People are afraid of cis men who want to prey on women, not trans women who want to use the bathroom. If you enjoy content like this, be sure to subscribe. Transpositions Weekly is the home for trans-positive news, but also sports, analysis, and stories about trans people that all too often don't actually include any trans people. Support our efforts by sharing these videos with people who might like them, or people who might hate them but really need to hear some facts. And if you can, consider supporting at patreon.com/thetranspositions. And join the Discord, because Discord, of course, is where the memes live, and our meme of the week was posted by Aunt Jur. And if you found the cheat code to unlock the miracle medicine to start living your life, join us. Also, if you have good news concerning trans people you'd like to see reported on, you can tell us about that in the Discord as well. For the Transpositions, I've been Ember Belrad.